What's up, folks? It's Tony here at Harrisonburg Honda. The wait is finally over now. You see it right behind me. It's the all-new 2024 Honda Prologue. Let's check it out. Welcome to Test Drive Tuesday. Honda has brought to the market something they've been teasing now since about 2022, and that's the Prologue. We've seen concept after concept now at all the auto shows, and we all thought, when is this thing gonna get here? Well, folks, it's behind me now, and the Prologue is just as awesome as the hype has built it up to be. Now for 2024, now this is the first time Honda's played in the EV realm. Formerly, we've had the Clarity back in 19 and 18, the Honda Insights, the CR-V hybrids, those are all hybrid options. But now, finally here in the States, Honda has introduced their first fully electric vehicle now with the Honda Prologue. The Prologue will come in two options now. The one behind me, the all-wheel drive model, will have that dual motor system, which will be standard for your all-wheel drive option. There is a one motor design now, which is a front-wheel drive model. Now with the dual motor Prologue, like you'll see behind me, it'll feature a 288 horsepower output with 333 foot-pounds of torque. Now, of course, with your touring dual motor, you're gonna have a 281 miles of range now, thanks to that 85 kilowatt hour battery. Head on the front view of the Prologue, you can see that it's super sleek, it's wide, but it also has those stacked horizontal lines. Width-wise, it shares the almost identical size with the Pilot, and it is just a few inches shorter than the CR-V. That traditional flat EV front with a lot of depth now. Most of its competitors kind of lack some of that depth and characteristics in the front. The Prologue does not do that at all, and I think it truly starts with the cowling in the hood. We have a design now on the top that's kind of similar and mimics some of the CR-V and the Pilot designs with how it's stacked and kind of sharp. But again, we have that traditional EV looking finish now, which for Honda, if you're a Honda fanatic and you've seen some of their EVs that are in the Japanese market and some of the European markets, you kind of see some Honda Euro front end, which is their smaller EV overseas. So you kind of have that same appeal, that same aesthetic, but then also we see some of the true Honda roots, like this headlight design. It almost screams the new design, new generation Accord, but it also, from the side profile, it also shares some similarities with the new HR-V and that redesign, which is really nice. Moving down, functioning vents now on both sides that are just above your fog lights. So again, really is going to help break up that air curtain that you have in the front like most traditional EVs have because they're so blocky and bulgy in the front, not with the Prologue. Traditional Honda emblem, big and bold in the front, and that's where it's going to store some of our collision avoidance braking sensors, adaptive cruise control features as well. What also helps break up the front of this new EV is how this lower lip, that gloss aluminum finish, kind of pops in the front. So again, most of its competitors, they're flat, they're all solid pieces of plastic in the front, where we have some of those stacked, those designs that break up the front end now, and it kind of questions, is that really an EV? Similar to, again, Honda models across this new redesigned lineup that we've seen with the Pilot and the CR-V is that headlight design now with your daytime running light. This is probably one of the thickest and most boldest daytime running lights that Honda's put into a vehicle now, and it's super aggressive on the road, but it also features your turn signal indicator there additionally. We have fog lights now on the Prologue. I know a lot of folks weren't too excited with the CR-V and the elimination of the fog lights. The Prologue has that now again. We've seen with the Pilots and their horsepower output, traditionally they were at 282, 286 now with the new models. The Prologue, 288 horsepower now with the dual motor package, but 333 foot-pounds of torque. Now, some of you car enthusiasts and you speed junkies might think that's not a lot, but with how the vehicle makes direct torque now with that dual motor, the Prologue flies, but still has amazing range at 281 miles on a full charge. Now from our side profile of the all-new Prologue, we see a lot of similarities, like I've mentioned earlier, with the new aesthetic that Honda is trying to bring in its model lineup. I mean, starting from the front here, this is just a bigger HR-V with this side profiling, and mainly because of this kind of eyelash, this little headlight design that kind of comes out and swoops like a little teardrop design from the front. It also has that kind of flat finish that rolls around to that side profile, and also that bulky fender flare design, again, like the HR-V, not as aggressive as we have with the CR-V or maybe the Pilot, but still bulky and gives that vehicle a wider presence. Now, lengthwise, this puppy is going to be about 7 inches longer than our current generation CR-V, but about 8 inches shorter now than the Pilot, which puts this one at 192 inches in overall length. We notice the giant wheel package that we have standard across the board. Standard now in your EX and your Touring models are going to be a 255 by R19 wheel and tire layout. Now when you go up to that Elite model, you'll see a 275 tire on a 21-inch wheel, which is one of the biggest designs now that Honda has offered in an SUV. So even for that Elite model now with that awesome 275 R60 a 21-inch tire, that's a lot of rubber on the ground to deliver all that torque forward now. Plus, what you'll see is an 8.1-inch ground clearance. So with all that torque now, all that power, all that meat on the road, and you still have great clearance. Moving down this awesome and sleek side profile of the Prologue, you'll notice you have your charging port door right there. It'll be one-touch access just like their traditional gas tank doors are. And you'll have 3 different charging level ability now with your Prologue. And again, that level 3, that fast DC charging system will give you 65 miles now of range within a 10-minute charge. This does now use that J1772 charging system and port, but in the future now it will be compatible with Tesla's supercharging fast charging systems. Blacked out side mirrors now wrap around that turn signal indicator, and it really pops with the blacked out design we have on the trim pieces that hug around the wheel and move down that side skirt. Now this side skirt is very similar to what we saw with the Pilot's side skirt, a little bit more depth now and a little bit more pizzazz. It uses a black kind of polished finish that goes all the way down. It gives a lot of depth to that side profile. Now you'll notice on this the door paneling for the Prologue, it's bulky. Again, has that same wide body presence in the front that flows all the way down. Now again, with the doors real quick, that's a solid door. And it's one of the heavier doors now when you compare it to like a Pilot or a CR-V. So there's a lot of weight to that vehicle and a lot of protection. As we move to the rear now of the new Prologue, the biggest thing that stands out is going to be that new taillight design now that we've seen introduced in Honda's lineup. And when you get close, you can really see some of the depth and other characteristic pieces that give that tail light some futuristic cues that, again, we've just never seen Honda kind of go out on that limb and do. We see it flow around with that new emblem and that new lettering layout. Again, we haven't seen Honda kind of get this different with what they traditionally do, and it's exciting to see. This is the future of Honda and the future of EVs. Again, very traditional style Prologue badging and that always traditional touring badge. And you'll notice a little kind of Easter egg that Honda's put also with the daytime running light. This kind of bar that has this rounded edge. We see the same pattern now with the spoke design on the wheels, in the front with the daytime running light, and also now in the rear with your tail light. Now moving down, like we mentioned, we noticed this rear bumper applique is very similar now, and very kind of Pilot-esque. Now the reason being is this vehicle is about as wide as a Pilot is, and it's definitely wider than a CR-V. And you'll notice it with how wide it is starting from the outside, and then it comes in for our cabin now. So that's the biggest difference, is the tires are so wide, we have a much wider presence on the outside that really tucks in and kind of narrows in that cabin, which gives that cabin a taller presence also because of how wide the rear is. Of course, this is a touring model, so you have that power assisted tailgate. Let's check it out. For a lot of SUV and EV owners, the biggest thing is how much cargo space do we have in the rear? Does that battery take up most of the space, and exactly what do we have? We'll see now with your dual motor systems, 23.7 cubic foot of space now when the seats are up, which is right there with your CR-V, and it almost dwarfs the HR-V. So it does look like the HR-V, but with your cargo space, you have CR-V level of quality and ability. Now when the seats are down, you're gonna have 54 cubic foot of space now in the rear of the Prologue. Now we've already seen on the outside how stylish and futuristic Honda has made their all-new EV. Now join me as we jump on the interior and check out some of the biggest displays now that Honda has put in any of their vehicles. Let's check it out. Welcome now. Of course, we're on the inside of the all-new Honda Prologue, and it's just as futuristic as you would imagine now with Honda's first EV. They kept it simple with your infotainment system layout. We've seen with some of its competitors, they give you this giant display where everything has to be navigated with that display. And it can be a little difficult at times and a little overwhelming for new EV buyers and consumers. So Honda's made it easy to give you physical button layouts now that are separate from that touchscreen display. Things like your audio controls, your heated seat indicators now, AC, climate, things like that. And you still have that dual climate system. Now we've noticed Honda getting a little bit more aggressive with their knob designs and their styling. So we have a little bit more of a textured, gnarled design like we saw with the Ridgeline and some of those previous models. We also have that now inside the Prologue. Honda did clean up a lot of their features and their buttons now. You'll notice on your gear selector on the right side and also your wiper selector, you're probably wondering, where's my headlight indicator, my headlight selector? no worries at all. You'll see on the top of your touchscreen display, there's a little tiny light indicator, and as soon as you tap that, you have multiple options to choose from where you can set your headlights to auto dimming, of course, with high beam, low beam assistance. But if you still want that traditional manual ability, no worries, you click it once, twice, and it's locked in now, and you have full manual ability with your headlights. Also in that menu up there, you'll notice a little pedal indicator with a shoe. That's the all new one pedal drive system for the Prologue now, and for Honda. And what does that mean? Literally with just the gas pedal, it accelerates like a traditional vehicle would, but as soon as you let off of that gas pedal now, what it does is it begins to brake you now and help recharge that battery. So again, you have regenerative braking with that, also paired with the left paddle shifter for that one pedal drive, which for new EV owners, it can be a little weird, but it takes just a couple minutes to get used to, and it's actually really fun. With this new beautiful display, now I did mention earlier it's one of the biggest. It's not the biggest, but it rivals now with the new Accord display, especially with efficiency. We can see these button layout and designs are very similar with the Accord now. They're a little different. They're more kind of independent in style specifically for the Prologue, but you can see your Play Store, your Google Assistant, wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay now, Wi-Fi hotspot connectivity, ambient lighting and ability to change that now. I mean, shoot, this is sweet. We got lime green, it's my favorite color. I'm gonna back out now. One touch, we can access our FM, our AM, our satellite radios. Hit the home menu now, we're back to our main charging system layout where we can see our charging ability. We also, now my favorite feature, sorry, I might be rambling here. There's a lot going on, but it's super user friendly. And again, it's fun now to play with this new EV. One touch when you hit the vehicle status, it pulls up this nice 3D diagram version of your Prologue. And as you click the plus signs, it'll let you know independent tire pressure readouts. And as you select the battery in the center, you can see your energy efficiency for the rear and for the front of usage as well. Now you can check things like your tire pressure. A more bigger layout design where it shows you all four at once is right there at your access. Additional trip information and energy info all right there. So again, it might feel overwhelming at first, but the way it explains itself, it's very user-friendly for a guy like me. I'm not the most knowledgeable guy about EVs, but this right here makes it awesome, and it gives you a little more assistance than traditional competitors would with their touchscreen displays. Your center console for the Prologue is very sleek. You'll notice you do have that little compartment, that bottom storage compartment like we've seen with the HRVs in time past. So you have two USB-C outlets over here, and you will have your more traditional outlet on the side also. But again, a nice flat surface here makes storing your cell phone device super efficient. Below your cup holders now, your massive cup holders, you do have wireless phone charging now with a newer design that we haven't seen in a Honda with this more upright design. And as we follow back now, this feels very Pilot-esque, and it's because you have the same center console storage and ability like the Pilot has, even with that removable tray. Also standard on that Touring Prologue now, you'll have a one-touch power full panoramic sunroof and a beautiful EV. So again, it truly brings in a ton of light now inside this beautiful interior, and it really opens it up. Over to the steering wheel design, a brand new layout that we've never seen in any Honda with these layouts now. Over here on the right side, you'll see your audio functions. Traditionally, it used to be on the left side, and you'd have your cruise control features on the right side. So that's flip-flopped. Over here is how you'll adjust your adaptive cruise, your cruise control settings, and you can turn that on and off and resume it. Simple, again, the very similar integration of the button layouts. They just kind of flip-flopped what those indicators do on the sides. Now, one of my favorite features now is how you can change the back screen of your 11-inch display. With one click of a button, you can change it through a traditional tachometer reading where it shows you power charge levels. My favorite though is how you can have your Google Maps display right here. So again, if I was driving, I wouldn't have two maps. I'd probably set this one to my audio function, Sirius satellite radio, jam out to some Dua Lipa. But over here, I have my Google Maps functions, which is all real time now, thanks to the built-in Google Assistant. In front of this beautiful 11-inch display, you do have your shifter indicator now, your shifter selector for the Prologue. And at first, it kind of looks a little odd, but again, very easy. To put it in drive, you'll pull it towards you and down. Very simple. You can actually hear that angelic kind of chime engage when the vehicle's in drive. Now flip to reverse, you just go in and up, and the same thing. but it amplifies that noise to the rear for also the outside pedestrians that might be walking around you in the parking lot. One of the biggest complaints now with EVs in the past have been that they're so quiet that when people are backing out of the parking lot, you don't hear them now. With this one, the audio repositions to the front if you're in drive, or the rear if you're in reverse. Put it in park just simply by hitting that little button right there. And again, super efficient now in the Prologue. Now also you'll notice that on the left side down here, you have your emergency parking brake release button, you have your lane keep assist indicator, and that auto hold for your stopping and your braking. Now also on your left door paneling, you'll have your memory seats for your driver 1 and your driver 2. But the nicest thing is in the Touring model and the Elite model, you'll have standard Bose audio with 12 speakers in the layout. Also, we see now a new seat design for the all-new Prologue, and it features more of a little bit bolstering on the sides and at the lower bolster supports, and again, a much plushier surface for the bottom. We kind of see some hues and some mimic kind of pattern that we had with the Insight back in the day, as we can say it now, with how the bolster layout was and how that felt with that material. We still have that with the Prologue, and again, it's super plushy, and it's probably one of the most comfortable seats now that we see in the model lineup. Standard on the EX, your Touring models, you'll have a gray or a black option, kind of similar to what we see now. But on your Elite models, you'll have exclusive options like a brown interior that was newly kind of brought out for the pilots this year as well. Hello now to the rear of the spacious and all-new Honda Prologue. What we see is a kind of similar styling to the CR-V with more increased space. Now this seat design, the way it's laid out, it's a longer bench style now with a little flatter of a surface, but it does increase now that knee room. We have over 41 inches of knee space here, which again, right up there with the CR-V, edges it by a little bit. Not as much as we have in the Pilot's second row, but again, it's not far off. Drop down cup holders, dual cup holders, and additional cup holders on our sides. USB-C charging ports down at the bottom there with the fast charging ability, and a nice little cubby holster there for toys, cell phones, kind of things like that, and additional vents for your backseat passengers. Now in the back of the Prologue, again, like I mentioned, it's going to have a little bit more headroom, height room, leg room, and shoulder room than the CR-V. Again, we've mentioned this previously with our Passport and our Pilot, that theater stack design you have in a second row, and we have that here. Now again, the floorboard super flat. There's no transmission wheel well that's making it all clustery down here, and that's what truly makes this back seat look a little bit more spacious than it really is. But it really is pretty spacious now for this new EV. So it doesn't feel claustrophobic at all. Part of that is because of this awesome panoramic sunroof that truly takes up the entire portion of that top of the roof. We've mentioned this previously with our newly redesigned CR-Vs and how they made the child restraint kind of anchors super efficient now. And it's the same thing with the Prologue. Again, you're not digging your arm all the way in there trying to find that little tiny 2-inch piece of plastic or metal, excuse me, to hold that restraint to latch onto. Now it's super efficient. One click of a button and it's right there for you. And again, efficiency and the Honda Prologue is what it's all about. We know you're wondering, it's a beautiful EV. It's Honda's first full electric SUV here in the States. So what is it gonna cost me? And starting with the EX model with the dual motor system, you'll see an MSRP starting at $51,795. Now that will include your destination handling. When we move up to your Touring model, like I'm in right now, depending on if it's a premium color or not, in the dual motor system, you're gonna see a starting MSRP right at $56,550. Now we move up to our last model, like I always say with the Elites, the top dog, the head honcho for the Prologue. Your starting MSRP now, depending on color, will be $59,295. Well folks, that's a wrap as we checked out the all-new Honda Prologue, the new EV in the Honda lineup. We say this every time when we finish our videos. We hope you enjoyed it. Most importantly though, we'd love to see your feedback on what you think about this new Prologue on our channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please. It means the world to us. And again, just give us your feedback, what you think, what you don't like, and what you're excited for now in the future of Honda and the EV realm. It's Tony here at Harrisburg Honda. It's been a blast now with this new Prologue. You guys gotta come in, check it out, take it for a test drive, and just get a feel for what Honda's offering now in this segment. Have a great day, enjoy your weekend. Tony's out.